right, welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show podcast. This is the VIP series. I'm so excited. I've got Amber Kivett in the house. Amber, hello.
Hello from Indiana. Good to hear you today.
I'm so excited to have you back in the Midwest, and I know you were in Florida, you're in Indiana, you're a jet-setting gal all over the place, but so excited to have you today and to dive into so many different things that you're doing. I was recently at Amber's place in Indiana, right outside of Indianapolis, where I had the opportunity to be at a retreat that both she and Jordan Delks had hosted. And it is awesome. If you ever are anywhere around Indianapolis or want to be in that area, or you need to go see a healer, go see Amber. Let me tell you what, this place was awesome. And I want to stay there longer. But Amber, that was a very special trip. And you're a special woman, and we've been associated for a long time together. And I want to dive in right now to so many good things that you can share with our peeps today on the podcast. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's just
lock and load.
Let's just go right into the beat. We recently at our retreat announced the Todd Durkin Mastermind retreat. The whole mastermind trainer Fit Pro of the Year is Amber Kivett, you. And there's a lot that goes into that, and our entire team and all of the coaches all vote on it. And there's a lot of great people. Talk about winning that award and what it means to you.
Sure. I hope to not get too emotional on this. I keep this very close. It means a lot. I like to say it took me over a decade to really know that I was worth it. One of the greatest lessons that I have learned this year is there's a big difference between self-confidence and self-worth. And I've been very confident in my abilities to help others, to heal others, body work, sports medicine, coaching, all of it. I've been very, very confident for years. But when I got the email from Frank saying that I was one of the top 4, I would have never applied for the award because I really don't know that I was worth it, because I really have so much admiration and respect for all the other masterminders, and not only just the masterminders, but all the coaches and all the individuals across the globe that we all interact with because of our opportunity with our network. I would not have put myself as being number 1 in that group or at the very top of that group, because there's just so much amazing, there's so much greatness within that community. So I had to learn what self-worth is all about. And self-worth is truly just seeing yourself in the mirror and knowing that no matter what non-negotiables, no matter what things that are outside of your controllables, no matter what happens in your life or where you're at in your life, you're worth every moment of it because you're one of God's children. And so I had to know that I was worth it in order to be able to believe in it. And so it was like, so I actually took, you sent me, I think, 6 or 7 questions, or maybe it was 4. And I really did a lot of research because he sent me a message that I was a finalist and I needed to answer these questions. And I took days and going through.
You wrote a book. You wrote a book. It literally could be a book. You wrote a book. I read every one of those applications, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was just, it was a really cool moment of reflection of from the very first moment that I met you in 2008, where my life was like, where it was at that point, and where my life was at when I joined the mastermind in 2014. I was only making $10,000 a year as a side hustle in coaching. I hadn't even really started really grinding into the business of Kivett Kinetic Solutions. I was a full-time mom and farmer's wife and just doing a lot of things. But when I joined the mastermind, I went back through and looked at my financials, and you can just see that there's a big difference by serving and by giving and being a participant. And it's always been bigger than me.
What year was that?
2014. I actually went back home before we met today and actually grabbed the original manual.
No way. She's holding up, if you're not watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, TD Impact Leadership Training.
This is before I joined the mastermind. This was in California. I signed up for this one-day workshop, and it was August 13th of 2014. And I was not a part of the mastermind yet, but there were some questions that you asked that made me very uncomfortable. What's your headstone going to say, and what's your legacy going to be? Those are things that people really don't want to think about a lot. I was not lost. I knew where I wanted to go with my life, but the 10 forms of wealth, I didn't know anything about that at the time because it was my first major workshop with you. And I actually went back and looked at all of the original 3 and 30s from that day,
Wow.
and compared that to where I'm
Wow.
at now. And that was how I was able to justify the expense with my husband. I'm like, this is where I was at like
Wow.
3 months before I joined the mastermind.
Wow. I'm going to need to
So
take a picture of that. I'm going
yeah,
to take a picture right now while we're on the podcast, just so I can take notice of that. That's over 10 years ago, guys. That's over 10
yeah,
years ago there. And I still remember Perform Better, Chicago,
2008, July.
2008. Amber, I remember it. You were off to my left. And some
Hmm.
people just stand out because I remember seeing the emotion in this gal's eyes from whatever I was talking about. She got emotional, and then it came to found out that she was an athletic trainer at Purdue. She used to tape up Drew's ankles.
Yep.
So when I'm like, wait a second, you were taping up DB's ankles? Oh my gosh! So interesting enough. And then fast forward, and here we are, and then 2023, the Mastermind coach of the year. So many things. Amber, one thing I would say for you is your I guess teamwork, or your willingness to serve your teammates. And the last 5 years, how you give so much to your team, the entire mastermind, not just your platinum
Hmm.
level team, but the entire mastermind on that. I guess my question deals with this is, like, the mastermind as a whole, what does it mean to you? Because I have seen this incredible servant attitude to serve others. And as your vision has expanded in your own practice and you've achieved more and more and more and more success, um, I've seen you serve even more. What's that relationship?
Yeah, so I like to say the definition of success is getting what you want, but happiness is actually enjoying what you get.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
mastermind is family to me.
Hmm.
It's my family because I have family here at home, and I love my family here at home, but they're comfortable with me no matter where I'm at in my life. But you have to have somebody who's willing to call you out and take you out of your comfort zone, because it's too easy to get comfortable. And my family doesn't mind me being comfortable. In fact, sometimes they can hold me back a little bit because they're afraid of where I'm wanting to go.
Yep.
um, but I have to have somebody else who's willing to push me a little over the edge, and just know that there's a life jacket or a parachute in that pack as I'm being thrown off the cliff and taking that leap of faith. There's
Mm.
always somebody in the group who knows the answers that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I would say more than anything, Todd, I'm closer to God now than I've ever been.
Mm. 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 Yeah. Well, that's your work.
And that's you.
That
That's
well,
that's all of us.
that's your work. That's your work. You're around the right people that are allowing you to excel personally and professionally. And I've watched the incredible accolades and award, everything that you've achieved, and not just this year, not just certainly the mastermind, on a lot of levels. Um, so thank you, but really it's your hard work and doing the work, right? You can have all the 10 forms of wealth, 3 and 30s, annual strategic plans, everything that we do, but if you don't do it, nothing changes. So you got to do it.
Well, the way I see it is, if we get too comfortable with where we're at, that's when God kind of throws us the curveball of adversity. And what I was just telling Gino is, adversity is just simply God's idea of resistance training for us. And why do we go through resistance training?
Yep.
We work with others in resistance training to get stronger in our life. But adversity is something we would never sign up for. You would never sign up to feel your back hurting as bad as it
That's right.
used to. You
That's
would
right.
never sign up for having, other issues with the knee replacements. Like you get thrown into that because you are having to serve on a much bigger stage at a later time in God's how he delegates those opportunities and those doors for us. But we have to be able to survive it and understand it in order to be able to serve it.
That's right. She just said two things there I don't want you to pass over. When she said Gino, That's Pastor Gino Mingo, who just prior to recording this podcast episode, we were doing a chapel service for all of my coaching groups, and Pastor Gino is leading that and did an amazing job. The second thing she said is with my back, just so you know, and I've mentioned this somewhere before, but when I, way back in the day, was at the depths of despair and couldn't do much, it was Amber Kivett who actually sent me the BFR bands, the B3 Sciences bands that I started using incognito for 6 months. Like, what the heck are these things? Other than I know my athletes were using them for rehab. And she kind of guided me through that process. And for 6 months, got introduced to the BFR bands, and the rest is history because I fell in love with them. And so thank you, Amber. Right?
Yeah, I will never forget that day, Todd. I mean, I was in town for some other stuff, and I remember you pulled me to a side and you said, this is a picture of my back. Nobody knows this yet.
Yeah.
And you said, I am afraid to let anybody touch me. What can you do to help me? And I told you I had never worked on somebody in a sideline position. So I said, let's just have you hover your desk. I'll figure it out.
That's right. Because guys, I couldn't lie in any other position. I couldn't lie on my back. I've shared this. I'm going to share it. And well, I can't reveal all the stuff coming up for yet, but
yeah.
I couldn't lie on my back. I couldn't lie on my stomach. I couldn't lie on my right side. I could only lie on my left side. So when she's like, okay, lie on the table, I'm like, Amber, I can't. I can't lie. She's like, what are you talking about? So anyway, Amber's she's my go-to. Like, I trust her. So I'm like, whatever you need to do your little, the little bit of magic in there. So thank you for that. And I'm indebted, and I use those bands to the day, and BFR, those of you who follow me close, you always see me using them. It all started because of this girl right here, Amber Kivett. So thank you, Amber. Yep.
Absolutely.
2023, top 2 or 3 big accomplishments this year for you. I know there's a lot, but if you had to boil it down to 2 or maybe 3, what would they be?
Yep. I'm going to say the 2 professional was earning the award, which I keep it guarded because I don't want to be like
She's holding it up if you're not watching.
I don't want to drop it. That was number 1. Number 2, I started dreaming about you entering into the door of my facility like 10 years ago. And I honestly didn't know if that was ever going to be possible. And so meeting Jordan, he lives in Indiana with me. We both have the barn facility. I had the first. I like to rub that into him. But I had to go to Montana to meet him, and which is crazy because as soon as I met him, like the doors opened and the wheels started churning. And I started partnering with him to heal individuals in his network. And then he called me up one day, and it was really bizarre because one thing that I love to do in my free time is work in my gardens. I like to work with my hands outside. And I was working out my gardens. It was on a Sunday morning, and he contacted me and he said, hey, what do you think about hosting a retreat with Todd at your barn? Since I'm hosting the first one at my barn, and you being a guest speaker. I'm like, dude, I already had that image in my mind this morning. I was getting ready to call you and ask you the same thing. And then a few months later, it happened. But it wasn't about me getting you through the door as like making from a selfish standpoint. It was, what can I do for you, Jordan, in order to like help create more impact or create more opportunity for your audience, and let's do this together. And so he was making monthly trips to my facility starting in April. Like the week after I got home, I started working for him. And we started working together with his clientele to create some miracles. And then it created such an impact with his group that we got to take this to a whole nother level. And that's what you got to witness. So
yeah, she's talking about Jordan Delks. Jordan Delks, for those of you who don't know, who was on my podcast months ago, he's in my Impact X coaching program. Which is primarily non-fit pros, although Jordan is a fit pro. He has Compete Training Academy. And Jordan just happened to come to our retreat in Whitefish, Montana last April 2023. And it was there that he met Amber. And one of the things with all of these coaching programs is the network, right? It's all about networking and meeting, and nothing brings me more joy when I see collaboration happening. And next thing I know, both Amber and Jordan, we got an idea for you. Can you come out to Indiana and we have a retreat going, and you can speak at. And next thing I know, I'm there at your barn in Indiana for what was an amazing. Gosh, I wish it was longer. I loved every part
It
of
was
that.
awesome. It
It
was
was really
awesome. And
special.
what's crazy is Purdue had to lose in the NCAA basketball tournament for me to read the email that you had sent out to know that Jordan even existed
Mm.
in our tie to Purdue. Like we were tied and we didn't even know it. Like, so that's how powerful the mastermind is. I had to go to the other side of the country to meet a guy who just lives 2 hours from me because
And
I
whose
didn't
wife
know.
was the standout player.
And we're both in a barn. It's crazy, just all
Right.
of it, how it all came together. So that was number two. Number three, you got to meet my buddy Lucas Grounds, working with him for
Yes.
a year, 3 hours a week to get him to walk on stage to accept his high school diploma
Hmm.
with a broken back and is paralyzed with a 3% chance to be able to do that. So they hired me because I'm known as the gatekeeper of dreams, of making things happen that just nobody knows how it happens. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
nobody else was giving him hope, and it was a 3% chance, and he did it. And here's the picture that proves that he did it. It was news media. He's a 7-time national champion in professional motorsports. He races bikes, and had just signed a contract fully sponsored to race full time when he broke his back.
Mm.
And what's crazy about that picture that I'm holding up is we found out shortly thereafter. I had a dream that came to me and felt like there was something wrong with the rods that were stabilizing his back. And sure enough, we actually found it.
Mm.
And they went in and changed all the hardware out, and he still had a broken back in this picture. So he actually walked on stage to accept his high school diploma, paralyzed with a
Mm.
broken back. It's crazy, but he did it.
And I saw the way that
That was
he
huge.
looked. Yeah, and I know how appreciative he is because having been at your place and he was there, having seen him and meet him and have him talk about his experience working with you, it's clear his trust in you. And it's not a surprise to me that now we've got people all over the country flying in to Indianapolis to go see you in the barn and all the magic that you're creating. It really is amazing. But I could see why he is so special to you, and for him to walk across the stage and graduate. I know how much hard work you put into everyone. I mean, sometimes I call him like it's midnight back there, and she's working with high school football players who just busted their ankles up, and she's trying to get them back. And it's Sunday afternoon, and she's working with someone who flew in from somewhere else. I'm like, Amber, you got to make sure you take some time off. She's like, Todd, I'm trying to change the world. I'm like, I understand. It's like I'm preaching to the choir. So
Yeah, no, it's all about sprints and recovery, right? Sprints and
right.
recovery. So you push the throttle and you keep going. But on a personal note, going back to the mastermind,
Yep.
I did this vision board, what your Z want to nail, and I keep it in here. I
Mm.
actually conquered this year. So that's personal and professional.
So she's holding
But
up, those of you listening in, she's holding up a vision board that we did just before the pandemic. And it was all about what your Z want to nail. And I did that. It was in Coronado, California, and everyone did their vision board on their Z want to nail. And I'm a big believer in vision boards, and it's really awesome that when you can look at that, it means something. Many times that a vision board can energetically empower you to take whatever it is in your next steps to get closer to what your Z Wantaneo is on that. So thank you for sharing that on Amber. And one more thing.
yeah.
I know you shared three, but you just got back from a very special trip in Florida that I don't know if you counted as a big five or not, but
Oh,
I
it's
asked
huge.
three,
It's
but
huge.
you just got back. You tell us. You just did something really
Yeah.
cool. What is it?
Yeah. So my husband and my husband's name is Adam. He and I have been married we've been married since 2004, but we've been together since 1997. Yeah, 97. Um, we'll be celebrating our lucky number. We married on August 27th of 2004. My birthday is April 27th. His is July 27th. So the 27th is a magic number for us. And we'll be celebrating 27 years together next August, but we'll be married 20 years next year. So this year we've been together equally as long as we've been apart before we met. Because I met him when I was 19, something like that. Yeah, 19. So it's really cool, like the numbers. But Zoe, Supergirl, I call her, is 13. And we've always taken her everywhere because she loves to travel and we feel guilty leaving her behind. So
Her daughter,
we went,
her daughter. Zoe's her
yeah,
daughter.
Zoe's our daughter. And through all the challenges, all the adversity, all the trauma I've been through in my life, he has stayed with me from the very beginning.
Mm.
And that is huge because so many wouldn't. They take the easy way. And so we celebrated a week in Marco Island, Florida, alone
Ooh, ooh,
for the first time in 13 years. And it
man.
was, I told him, I said, I love Supergirl, I love Zoe, I love being her mother, and I love the fact that we can do that for each other. But I really have missed you
Mm.
because you lose sight. You try to truly love and engage and pamper and celebrate each other, but child always comes first,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get lost in that. And so date night works if you can keep up with that, but we needed a full week to catch up.
Man.
And it was fabulous, even though the weather was terrible.
Doesn't,
The weather was
does-
awful, but it didn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. You were forced to stay inside.
Quality time, quality time.
No
It was
doubt.
wonderful.
Well, when I heard that, my heart smiled because, as a husband, we just don't get enough time with our spouses, right? Like it does. If you're married, you understand. If you have kids, many times it revolves around them. So when you told me you were going down there, I said, I'm not going to bother you. Let's
Yeah.
record after you get back. And we had that in there. So thank you. I
Yeah.
know you've also been spending a lot of time looking forward. I know you have a lot of big plans for 2024. But one of the things I've been asking all of our people as they dive into their annual strategic plans is, hey, your big five for the year. What's your big five? Know your big five. But what is one of your big goals for 2024? What's that one thing that you're hoping to achieve, Amber?
Yeah, so 2023, my one word theme was growth, which
Mm,
I'm living my best life right now, professionally and personally.
yep.
2024 is greater than me, and I actually did some research on this the other day.
Mm,
Bigger than me is talking about size, greater than me is talking about value.
mm,
And so greater than me is doing things, whatever doors God is opening for me to serve. It is not doing things for personal gain or for making more money or more success. It's doing things that are so much greater than me that the reward isn't necessarily instant. It's just going through the motions, but the opportunity and the impact of being able to serve others on a level greater than me is going to leave a much greater legacy for Supergirl and for so many other people. But the opportunity to change lives just by sharing the intellectual property that I've been holding in for 20 years.
yeah.
So one of my big five is getting on stage and presenting and sharing it. And I know that you've experienced part of my barefoot programming with what I've done with the mastermind, but it's something that a lot of people, you would assume that people do barefoot grounding and barefoot training and neurosensory with how the brain works together. But so many professional athletes that I have worked with that you have set me up with don't know any of that. And I would love to be able to serve some of the professional athletes or the teams and teaching just the basic fundamentals because it ultimately affects everything that happens between the fingertips of the toes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of emotional power in the feet as well, palms and feet. But big five, one of the big ones is getting out and presenting more in public speaking. I already do a lot of that, but I want to do it on a bigger platform.
Well,
And
did you define that yet as 2023 comes to a rapid close here? Have you defined like you want to be on stages X amount of times or in front of X amount of people, or are you just still at the point of I want to get on stage more? Where are you at with it?
I'm 10xing. So if I can get in with a professional team and start, I love working with professional athletes because they already grind and they already work so hard and they know their body so well. But it
Mm,
is simple things that make the biggest impact that they don't know.
mm,
And when you can tap into an athlete who is just really close to finding that silver line, like to
yeah.
crossing over between success and actually experiencing that, and if it can happen through my gifts and what God does to direct my mind and my hands, to be able to give them that gift, to give them the opportunity of the breakthrough they're looking for, that's where my mind is dreaming. But
Love it.
I have no limits, no limits. Whatever
Yep.
God opens the doors, it's not about how much money I'm paid. It's like, how can I give somebody their dreams? That's why I'm called the gatekeeper of dreams. Like, if I can make their dreams happen, then gatekeepers ready to come in, like
Hmm.
in whatever way that means. Because I do a lot of mental coaching, I do a lot of life coaching, I do a lot of sports medicine, but pain relief and pain restoration, relief is temporary, restoration is forever. And
Yeah,
so if I can
you
tap into that,
you have a
it's,
lot of modalities you cover. There's no doubt, and it's like it's a secret sauce. It's all these things that
yep,
you can't really describe. That's why you call it magic, right? But in question, and maybe it's not on your big five, but in 24, or do you have any dreams to someday write a book about all your experiences? Because I know you've been through a lot in
yep,
life. Is
yep.
that a
That's,
24 initiative, or that like that's
well,
down
I'm
the
already
line?
writing the book with you. I'm already writing the
Well,
book with you with the coaching greatness.
yep.
So I've already signed up for that. I mean, I've already
Your own
written,
book. You put your
I've
own.
already
Yeah, we got
co-written those
what's
with you.
next.
But with my book, I don't think it's time for me to finish it yet. Like,
Gotcha.
it's here. Like, I love to write, and I know if I could sit down and just grind out, I do my best work when it's late at night and nobody's around. But
Yeah.
it's not good for me to do that from a
Yep.
recovery standpoint. I
Yep.
pay for it for a few days when I do that. But I'm one of those people, like, when I sit down with the butt glue, I just write nonstop, and it's just true purity. I don't have to second guess what's
Yep.
coming out of my mind, and it goes out, and everything that I've ever submitted has been published as is, unedited. It's just it's another gift.
Yeah.
But I do know I am wanting to write the book about how magic started and what that means, because I have come through, should have been dead like 7 times now. So I have
Right.
been to hell and
That's
back
what I
several times.
that's what I wanted. That's what I want to know. That's what I
Yeah.
want you to write someday. And
Yeah.
guys, you can read and definitely follow Amber, but you can read in What's Next, my What's Next book. She's got a great section in there. The book that'll be coming up later on in 24 on coaching greatness and all that's going to be coming down the line. But I can't wait to read her book, which really shares the depths of her story. Until that comes out, at the very minimum, please make sure you follow Amber, because she puts some great content out there. I got a funny question for you that I'm going to put you on the spot. If
Love
you
it.
if there was one person on your team, on your platinum level team, mastermind team, that you wanted to give a special shout out, who would it be and why? And I know you don't want to answer because there's like 15 people that are all awesome, but
Yeah, no, I've got it right here in my head. It's Kelly Watson, because, and
mm,
I'll tell you,
mm,
I will never forget.
mm,
In 2019, I was at the retreat
mm,
at the Bernardo Inn, and I was broken, and you were broken, and that was when Drew came in as a surprise visit, and I was at the institute level at that point in the mastermind, and that was
mm,
the tipping point for me going all in.
mm.
Um, I didn't know where my life was going to take me, because I had just had a total hysterectomy, and my body was as broken as it has been in a long time. And I will never forget hearing her voice in the crowd. She spoke up. I never met her. But
Mm.
as soon as I heard her voice, she was my healing. I just knew that I needed to be with her. She taught us the Infinite Eight activity, which I use every day with those that are going through severe depression. And if I'm working on, someone, especially a high performing athlete who is really going through a hard time, I put them through that exercise. And because it saved me. I mean, I had to realize I was coming down off the mountain to
Mm.
serve a much bigger mountain. And I knew that I had to collect resources and refuel and reestablish and gain some focus. And she was my focus. And so I remember as soon as I got home from that retreat, I reached out to Frank and I said, okay, I'm all in. Like, and I either want Larry or I want her, but I want to interview both.
Yeah.
And I wanted Larry because he was closer to you, and I knew I knew from a strategic standpoint, I needed to somehow figure out a way to work on you to expose my gift and to validate it and to see what I needed to do to continue to master it. And that happened at this retreat in 2020 because I refused to leave town until I had time on your schedule. And but with her,
So
I
good.
knew I needed her because at the time Team Elevate was a massive group of women, and I had just lost a huge part of my motherhood, my womanhood, with having, that part of my body removed. And to have somebody to relate with on that and to see what it's like to, coordinate with other women and juggling all the roles that we play, all the hats that we wear. I needed somebody who could understand that without pushing me too hard, too fast. And she has always been a light, always. I had a really tough part of my season this year in July. I had a full-time employee. Like, life was as perfect as it could have been. And then the rug got yanked out, and I was, she ended up in stepping away to be a full-time mom. Can't blame her for that. I wanted that for her. But I called Kelly the next day and I said, I need on a phone call now because I'm having a panic attack and I don't know what I'm going to do with 150 new clients and I'm alone because I'm already feeling like I'm drowning. And just, it's amazing when you have a lot of gifts. It's really hard to balance it when everybody wants you and you're being pulled not only in business, but you're being pulled, with your family, with your community. And I got on a phone call with her and my husband and my director of operations. And I said, okay, guys, I'm calling it out. Like, I am drowning and I need help. Like, but it was like, it's crazy because I was truly living at some of the best times of my life.
Yep.
Like, it was an amazing time in my life, but it was the unexpected that took me out. And I needed somebody to just reel me back in and say, okay, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay that you have to just pause. And so I've been truly, I haven't hired anybody else. I've just taken 6 months and paused and just put a plan together, jacked up my rates, which has brought in another 75 people. So people keep flying in. So it's,
Well, it's well said. Well said.
there's no mistake in God's timing. And I don't fight, what's coming or where I'm at right now. I just go where the signs lead, where I'm supposed to be. And the mastermind and my teammates now, we're a much smaller group than we were over the last few years because people are coming and going. I will say it can be an expensive investment for a lot of people, but I will tell you what I have gotten out of it has been far superior, beyond 10x what I put into it from a financial standpoint. So some of my greatest friends in my life in the last 15 years are within the mastermind, and we can get together or we can get on a call and it's like we never missed a beat. And we want the best for each other. But when it comes to your locals and your community, like, I can understand. I do a lot of mental coaching with professional athletes, and people ask me all the time, what do you love about working with professional athletes? And it comes down to, they fear and they worry about the same things that you and I worry about. They just don't get to talk about it because they're being evaluated from a distance on, like, under a microscope, and like everybody's calling them out on everything that they do wrong or judging them. And I love being able to tell those individuals that they matter and that it's okay that they're going through what they're going through, and to help them get through that. That's what my mastermind does for me. And that's what you do for me. That's what Gino does for me. Every time I'm in town, he prays over me. I don't even have to ask. And but when it comes to my close inner circle here at home, like, it's really hard to take the game face off and just be vulnerable at times because everybody's waiting for you to fall. They want to see you suffer because you have life so good, in their opinion. They want to see that, like, you actually suffer, and they call you out on it. So that's what I love about my mastermind. When I'm really having a hard time keeping up, and the inflow has to be greater than the outflow so you don't drown in the overflow.
Looks
Gino
like
Mingo.
you've been listening.
I've been
Well,
reading that for years,
yeah.
and the mastermind is my inflow all the way around. I mean, I sent you a text message this morning about Damon West.
Yeah.
You introduced him into our life in 2020. I still stay in contact with him. I buy lots of books from him, and he signs every single copy for me. But
Man.
the mastermind introduced me to that. But there's just so many Kelly Watson. She's who keeps me together when I need it.
Thank you for your words. If there was a coach, a trainer, or a fit pro listening in, why do you think they should potentially be part of the mastermind? I heard your reason, how it serves. Why do you think someone else in the fitness industry should consider being part of the team?
I don't want to isolate to the fitness industry, to be honest with you, because I think the medical community kind of flows in with the same problem, especially being a business owner. But I think if I'm in a position that I'm wanting to do something new, and we're all afraid doing things that we're new that are new to us. If we have to change, because we're too comfortable, right? When change comes, if we don't choose change, change chooses us, right? And
Yep.
so when you are going through the storm and riding the waves, you want to be riding the waves with somebody who's already survived the storm. You don't want to be riding the waves with somebody who has read the map. And there are so many people who read the map and pretend like they know what they're talking about. But man, to learn it from somebody who has gone through the storm in a sinking boat, and yet they somehow figured out how to survive, whether it was a life raft or fixing the boat. I want to know what they're doing, because they've already had a chance to fail forward, or they've already had a chance to fail and not go back into it. And if I'm getting ready to go into that storm, I'd like to know what my options are.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I have learned about the mastermind is we're the top 1% in the world. And when it comes down to going to a retreat or going to a Perform Better or going to an Ideal World convention, when you wear the Todd Durkin Mastermind shirt into wherever it is that you're trying to buy something, they treat you totally different than if you're wearing your own brand. I actually experimented that one year and wore like my regular apparel, and nobody wanted to talk to me about like
You
opportunities.
haven't told me this.
But when I went and I put on my mastermind t-shirt and walked in, boy, the heads start to turn fast. You know, there's somebody in the mastermind who knows somebody that you need. You don't know you need them yet, but you know that, you know, there's somebody who is in that group that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. So it's the networking. Your net worth is only as big as your network, right? And so to be able to, you have to interact. Like, you can't just be in the room and just listen. You actually have to engage and converse and figure out how you can help others before those doors will open up. So I think that's really important too, because so many people are part of a mastermind that's virtual, but they don't really get anything out of it. It's like my husband and I have this discussion all the time. Do you realize how many people join a mastermind and then they're out? Like, they join it for 6 months to a year, and you've been with the same mastermind for 10 years. And I'm like, well, it's because I keep growing. I keep growing inside, more importantly, personally, than more than I do professionally. So I think from a professional standpoint, it's phenomenal, because you're getting all the secrets and all of the trends before they're actually here. Like, you're setting a lot of that, and you know the people who are ahead of the curve and trying to help in how things are coming together. So you have some great insight, which is worth way more than what the annual fees are, depending on which level you decide to engage in. And then when it comes to what you need, I know, like within the mastermind, I need it for myself from a personal standpoint, because I need to be with other people who understand what I'm feeling, and to know that it's okay to feel the way I feel, because nobody else around me understands it. So it's, you know, that's what I get out of it is, but I think that's what a lot of other people need as well. They need leadership, or they need to know, like, if you're going down that path, I've already been down that path, and it is not a good path you're going. Like, we had this conversation on our mastermind call yesterday, like when we were listening to one of our teammates talking about working 12-hour days and charging too little. I'm like, girl, you need to charge what you're worth, and you need to amp up. Like, but you don't want to be, you don't want to learn that the hard way, because you get sick, right? You physically get sick by doing that. So if you can, there's a lot of value in that.
Thank you. Thank you for your words on all things. I always say the power of the mastermind is in its people. It's all about the people.
Absolutely. It's about the people and the relationships.
We've got some great people, and we're fortunate to have amazing people, and we're always looking for more great people who want to do great things and create more impact in the world. So Amber Kivett, you are one of those people, and I know that I am really proud of you on so many levels. And as this year's recipient of the Mastermind Fit Pro of the Year and all that you're doing, It really is amazing to see your growth that you've had not only in the last year, but heck, the last decade plus has been awesome. If someone wanted to follow you, and I highly suggest you follow Amber Kivett, where can they do that? Where's the best place they can learn more about you, follow what you're doing, Amber?
Yeah, website offers all of the media links, and that's www.kksmagik.com. So it's magic with a K, not with a C. Magic is an acronym. It's motivating others to being better by accepting them right where they're at, recognizing the gifts and the greatness within them, and inspiring to be better by acts of kindness. So motivation, acceptance, greatness, gifts, inspire, and kindness. So it's magic with a K. I actually came up with that by writing for What's Next, and we
One more
ended up in
time.
not
Website. One more time. Say the website.
KKSMAGIK.com.
Got it.
That's
You'll do
that's
that.
one way. And then if you're needing to reach out to me personally for future opportunities, or because you need help, or you want to collaborate, or just have a chat, I always give my phone number out, because it's, when people are trying to find it, it's always nice to have that. But I actually have a rhyme time jingle to my phone number: 317-446-7971.
Wow. I don't think
Yeah,
we've had that before. Someone sling their phone number. I don't know if we had the phone number go out, but
there you go. I'm an open
one
book.
more time. The number, just say it without singing it. What is it?
Yeah,
I was too
Yeah, it's all
enamored.
good.
I was too enamored with this singing aspect. I didn't know that you could sing, but what is the actual number? 317?
317-446-7971.
All
And
right.
I cannot sing, for what it's worth. I came up with that jingle for my daughter to remember it when she was 5,
There
because you can
go.
always remember a jingle.
Yeah, that's good. So there you go. KKS Magic, magic with a K.com, 317-446-7971. I'll put it in the show notes as well, guys. My last question to end today, Amber, where is Amber Kivett in 3 years from now?
Good question. Where I see myself going, and I'm working on this really hard. This has been a top 5 for me for the last 3 years, but the timing, it's about scaling slow, growing slow, and doing it right. I have my own cupping brand, and I have my own system, biohacking into the human body through a lot of different things. In 3 years from now, I will be teaching. Within the next 3 years, I'll be able to teach not only professional athletes, but the general public, how to work on themselves at home using my product to eliminate pain and maximize the optimal environment for their body to be able to repair itself, restore itself. That will be something, whether it's me flying all over the country to do it, or whether it's through an app, or whether it's through a virtual program. That's where I will be in 3 years. But between trademarking and maximizing, working with the factory right now to make sure the product is perfect, packaging and all that stuff, but the system is done. Like it's all here. I just got to crank it out. And so that's a very, very big task, which means I have to grow my team where I'm at now, so I can step away and be able to really pump energy into that. But that's the way of the future for people to fix themselves.
You heard it here first. She didn't even know I was going to ask her those questions, and that one probably threw you for a right hook. That was awesome. It sounds like you've been asked that or been thinking about it for a long time. So, Amber, thank you for sharing your soul with us, not just on today's podcast, but all year long and for a decade long, and just to see your growth again and how you serve your team and the mastermind and all that. You are just such an awesome woman and an awesome professional. I can't encourage y'all enough. Make sure you follow Amber, see what she's doing. If you're in pain and you keep going into roadblocks and you don't know what to do, at least reach out to her. And you live in a different city, she can at least give you some insights into potential other ways to look at things, because I know even my own walk, she's worked on me personally, and probably like yourself, I don't just let anyone just work on me. You're very particular about who's working on you and what they do. And Amber Kivett is one of those gals for me that I've entrusted my health with and has opened my own healing process as well. And the way she serves our mastermind is just awesome. And I wanted to highlight her this week on our VIP series because she's done an amazing job for so long serving so many people that the world needs to know more about Amber Kivett. So Amber, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Half of our entire mastermind. We love you. We're proud of you. I can't wait to see you probably in Florida.
Florida. I already told my family I'm out.
Delray Beach, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
March 2024.
If there's any way I can get to you before then, because I know some of the baseball guys. I've got some of the baseball guys I've worked on in the past, and I've been promising them for a while to come out, but the timing just hasn't worked out in my favor. So I might see you before then.
They're in full go. As a matter of fact, I'm going to end it because I'm going to go downstairs and train those guys right now on that. Just because it's the holidays, they're still training, and I'm going to go down. So, Amber, thank you. I really appreciate you, love you, and I can't wait to give you a big old hug real soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Todd. You have a wonderful afternoon, and thanks for all that you do.
Man, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Amber Kivett. She sure is one special woman. And if you are interested in the Todd Durkin Mastermind coaching program or Impact X, hop over to my website, todddurkin.com. There's a tab that says coaching. And regardless of who you are, if you want to get better, I know 2024 is almost here, and I'm really excited. Our team is really excited to just create more impact. Folks like Amber who are doing amazing things in her community and beyond. So hop over to todddurkin.com, take a look at the coaching tab, and it explains all of our different levels and ways to get involved with our community. And if you're not sure, please email me, durkin@fitnessquest10.com, durkin@fitnessquest10.com, and we can get back to you with all of your answers. The bottom line is this: if 2024 is going to be your year, I would love to help support you in any way that is needed. So check it all out. Thanks for joining me. Go have a great rest of 2023 and 2024, baby. It's almost here. It's on, baby. Let's go.